Yo, what's up guys, it's Rpcsx here. In today's video, I'll be showing you guys how to play PS3 games on your Android devices in 2026 with the help of Rpcsx PS3 Emulator for Android. I'll be showing you guys the full setup, best settings as well as gameplay. So before getting started, if you guys are new here, hit that like button, subscribe, turn on all notification. Let's get started. Still paying full price for PSN gift cards? I save money by grabbing mine from IGXC. Legit PSN cards, way cheaper, instant delivery, no hassle, and perks worldwide. Game more, pay less. To get started, as you all might know, Rpcsx Emulator Android is a completely open source project which is available on GitHub, and you can try it out in the releases section, but it is a very old version of Rpcsx. If you want to try out the last 4 months ago build of Rpcsx, you'll need to go to its official GitHub. Afterwards, go to the Actions tab, and here you guys can see the October 12 build of Rpcsx Emulator. Just add it on your Android device, but if it says expired for you, you'll need to find the older versions in the Actions tab or go with this build of Rpcsx Android, because once you open the emulator, you will get an update option. So you'll simply need to tap on the update button and the Rpcsx emulator will automatically be updated to its latest version. Now you can see I have already added the games, but wait a second, I'll show you the full setup procedure. So when you open the Rpcsx emulator for the first time, it will be completely blank. To start setting it up, on the 3 lines at the top left corner. Afterwards, the first main thing is to add a firmware. So you'll need to first add PS3 firmware on your Android device, which is officially provided by Sony. So make sure to add the PS3 firmware. Once you have successfully added it, simply tap on the firmware version and select it from your storage. So here you guys can see the firmware is being loaded, and it takes about 5 minutes for the firmware to be completely loaded. Right here you guys can see this icon after the firmware has been successfully added on your Android device. Now the way Rpcsx works depends device to device. For low-end devices, you will have to wait at least 30 to 40 minutes for the firmware to be added. So it is recommended that you have at least 8 GB of RAM and a Snapdragon 870 processor or higher Android device. Once that has been done, you will need to import your PS3 games. For that, simply tap on this plus button and choose the first option to import your PS3 PKG games, and the second option to select the folder where you have stored your PS3 ISO games. So PS3 games come in two formats, PKG as well as ISO. PKG works the best with the Rpcsx emulator, so you'll need to add PS3 games on your Android device first, either PKG or ISO. I have already added GTA 5 as well as God of War demo PKG games inside my Rpcsx emulator, so unfortunately I can't talk more about it because you'll have to do your own research / dump these games on your Android device from the PS3 that you own. For ISO, simply tap on the folder and select the folder where you have kept your ISO games, and after that your games will be successfully loaded. The next step is to configure Rpcsx emulator on our Android device. Now we'll go to custom GPU driver and import the Mesa Turnip Adreno driver. For that, you can tap on the plus button, choose the first option. If you have a Snapdragon processor, go with version 26.0.0 revision 8, and it also has Snapdragon 8 Elite support, but I'll be using the Mesa Turnip Gen 8 driver instead for my Samsung Galaxy S25 Ultra, which has a Snapdragon 8 Elite processor. Now that we have successfully set up everything, all we'll do is simply launch our first game, which is going to be Grand Theft Auto 5. When you launch any PS3 game on your Android device for the first time, it will say compiling PPU models. You will also have to compile PPU shaders, and this process usually takes a lot of time depending on the game that you are trying to emulate and also your Android device processor. For flagship Android devices, it usually needs 5 minutes of loading time, but for low-end devices like this one right here, it can even take like few hours or even 30 minutes. In this device case, it took me 30 minutes. Well, Rpcsx emulator is also really well supported on Mali GPU Android devices, so it works great in that front as well. Here are the best settings for Rpcsx emulator. Go to core and make sure PPU threads is set to 2. You can increase it to 8, but sometimes it can cause slowdown for games like God of War 3. Afterwards, we'll go to VFS, keep everything as default. Go to video memory, resolution set it to 720 x 480p. By default this will be 1280 by 720, but we'll go with 720 by 480. Aspect ratio is 16:9, frame limit is 60 fps. MSA, make sure to disable this. Shader mode should be asynchronous shader recompiler. Shader precision should be set to low. Read color buffers as well as write color buffers, these should be enabled if you are playing games like God of War 3 demo which get graphical issues. No matter what, if you emulate any game that gets graphical issue, enable these two options and it will be fixed, but it will decrease the performance, so I'll keep it disabled for today's video. Make sure to enable stretch to display area. After scroll down and resolution scale, here you'll need to enter the value of 75. Once that's done, you can go to Vulkan, make sure that the force FIFO present mode has been disabled, and in performance overlay make sure to enable this as well as frame rate graph. Once that has been done, you have successfully applied the best settings to get best FPS, and in terms of audio renderer, if you set it to null, you will get few more FPS. That's about it for the best settings. Now that we have successfully set up everything, all we'll do is simply launch our first game, which is going to be Grand Theft Auto 5. When you launch any PS3 game on your Android device for the first time, it will say compiling PPU models, and this process usually takes a lot of time depending on the game that you are trying to emulate and also your Android device processor. For flagship Android devices, it usually needs 5 minutes of loading time, but for low-end devices like this one right here, it can even take like few hours or even 30 minutes. In this device case, it took me 30 minutes. Well, Rpcsx emulator is also really well supported on Mali GPU Android devices, so it works great in that front as well. After waiting for 10 minutes, it will say building SPU cache. So here we go. Our PS3 game is about to start. The original Grand Theft Auto 5 running on our Android devices. Just take a look at it. This is the intro screen, and let me tell you guys, the Rpcsx emulator is better in terms of performance than the PS3 emulator. At the bottom you will see compiling shaders, and at the top left corner is your FPS meter, which will show you how much performance are you getting. 30 or above FPS should be best, and here you can see the total CPU usage. So let's accept the display calibration by tapping the X button. Now sometimes inside the Rpcsx emulator, the on-screen touch controls are not recognized for GTA 5. For that you'll just have to relaunch the game. After restarting, now you guys can see the X button finally works, and here it says loading story mode. Now as we have set the resolution to 0.75x, even for the 720p resolution, you can see that the textures are bit jittery. That's actually good news because it means you'll get the maximum performance possible while emulating such high graphics PS3 games on your Android devices in 2026. Here we go, London North Yankton 9 years ago. The game is about to start, and it says compiling shaders. So here we go. Once our game successfully starts, you will be able to see the FPSs all over the place. But it's actually a great news. You can see compiling shader, and every small detail will be loaded in few seconds depending on your device specification. So now you guys can see I'm getting around 10 to 12 FPS, but don't worry, after you wait for few seconds, your FPS will increase. Now that our game has successfully been loaded, we can just move our joystick around, and you can see it says compiling shaders. So sometimes the game might freeze. Now it has unfrozen, so I can control my character once more, and if it stays frozen, then you can restart your game definitely. But just take a look at this. I am emulating the original GTA 5 PS3 game on my Android device, and the reason why our FPS is dropping a little bit, that's because of the compiling shaders. But don't worry guys, everything will be fixed after the shaders are compiled, but that requires lot of patience. So when you are in a new scenario for the first time, it will actually lag. Because emulating PS3 games on Android is not meant to be easy. You need at least Snapdragon 865 processor or above if you want to play PS3 games on your mobile device. Along with that, at least 8 GB of RAM. With that being said, let's move on towards our next game, which is going to be God of War 3. The game that we'll try out is the original 32 GB version of God of War 3. And after waiting for a few seconds, you guys can see Sony Computer Entertainment presents God of War 3. Let's quickly skip this cutscene by pressing any button, and here we go. Our original God of War 3 has successfully started. Towards the left side of your screen, you guys can see the FPS which I am getting on my own Android device. And here we go, the game crashed. So you need to actually get into the game quickly, or else you will face crashing issues. Okay guys, after trying to reopen the game for the 15th time, you guys can see I have actually booted into God of War 3, and here we go, our game should begin. Now it's not a guarantee that this game will work in today's video because it might crash during the beginning cutscene. The beginning cutscene of God of War 3 is actually super long, as you know, but let's wait and find out if our game I was gonna say works or not, but you guys can see it actually crashed. So unfortunately God of War 3 is crashing. I think the problem behind it might be that you need to re-add the games after updating the Rpcsx emulator, because it is running the shaders that were previously compiled in the older version of Rpcsx. So I think re-adding the game once again freshly might help fix that problem. So definitely try it out on your own mobile devices. I'll see you guys next time. Thanks for watching. Goodbye.